Hi, I'm Roger Aguinaldo, and welcome to the M&A Advisor podcast. Since 1998, the M&A Advisor has been the definitive source dedicated to recognizing achievement, delivering unrivaled thought leadership, and connecting the world's mergers and acquisitions elite. We help you sharpen your edge and accelerate your success in deal making. Whether you're an ambitious new player or a market veteran, this podcast provides masterclass strategies, unvarnished stories, and vital lessons from the industry's influential figures. Before we launch into this episode, be sure to follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and subscribe to our essential M&A Alerts email newsletter. Find all the links below. Your engagement fuels the deal-making community. Now let's get into the transaction.
It's great to be back with Henning and Gizay. We met in March, same conference in Palm Beach. I don't know how many made it down to the Palm Beach event in March, but it's good to be back with you. Today's topic is going to concern the relevance of operational excellence throughout the M&A process, including things such as pre-closing, due diligence, etc., which they will both get into with a bit more detail. The inbound inquiries from private equity funds and from companies has been steadily increasing, so we wanted to talk to you today about why this is going to be beneficial in terms of what they do at Komoto. I am an executive at Charles Schwab. I've been in finance my entire career on Wall Street. I sit right in the middle of the fray of private equity companies. A lot of our clients own these businesses that they want to exit. So it's a topic that's very important for me, and I'm glad to be here with both of you. Let me turn it over to Henning for a quick word on his background and Gizay as well, and then we'll go ahead with questions.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Behzad. So my name again, Henning Bruns. I'm the managing director together with my colleague Gizay Unal for Komoto Consulting in the US. We cover the US and Mexican market. We basically represent a company which has been around since 1990 out of Europe. Total of about 350 people worldwide now. And we are a little bit an oddball now here in this setting. Purposely we wanted to do this because we do not represent M&A or private equity or any law advising or financial restructuring companies. We are basically serving these companies on the way to make a good, seemingly good deal, a great deal, right? So that's what we're after. Our firm in the US is turning about 15 to 20 companies per year, mid-sized manufacturing companies. And we would like to feel the water a little bit, how this audience might resonate with this.
Yeah, thank you, Henning. Great introduction. So I have not much to say. I'm Gizay, so nice to meet you all. 12 years with Komoto, and we are very passionate about what we are doing and look forward to, let's say, have a great discussion.
So thank you, guys. So we were together at first met at the Wilbur Ross reception, which is really nice. Maybe a better view off the water than here, and this is actually a pretty nice view. So for Henning, maybe talk a little bit about why the decision to return to the M&A Leadership Summit.
Yeah, if you would turn it basically to the next slide, basically give you a little bit of a visual also. When we step into plans, right? I'm not sure to what extent you would see this from an M&A deal-making perspective. We basically have to look beyond the financials, so to say, right, and the trajectories. The question is always at hand, how is this company really performing, right? And this is not necessarily something you can see the complete picture from the financials. There's many different things at hand, right? And so when we get asked by private equity companies and M&A, about, hey, we have a next target, we have built that platform, we are looking at another company. This other company or business often represents another amount of conglomerated, basically, acquisitions, right? And what we see is it's a very inhomogeneous structure there. The IT systems don't fit together, basically. The products seem to be likewise, but they have similar sizes and production processes. There's a lot of redundancy, so to say, and this is something which needs to be understood from a valuation perspective before actually somebody signs something.
Sure. And Gizay, on the topic...
Maybe I want to add a few more topics to your first question. So I think that's also one of the interesting parts for our job, or that's what I like. So we are not able to, let's say, see the full picture based on the numbers or the balance sheet if we are assessing a manufacturing company. So that's where we have to go and see, and that's give us the opportunity to visit the nicest places globally. You can imagine where the manufacturing plants are sitting. In most of the cases, we see, let's say, typical pattern. And one of them is, let's say, I see very often the historically grown companies over the last 30, 40, 60, maybe even 100 years, and they just acquired or open up another plant, and they are not really standardized. So you go to different plants of the same company, and you see completely different, let's say, processes and the products, the way how they are building it. But also from the efficiency standpoint, you see a benchmark plant, but also you go and see, okay, compared to the other plant, they are producing maybe at only 50% of the same level. The same applies to footprint. So you look at the footprint, you look at the big picture in the region, you see in some cases they have three plants which are very close to each other. They are producing the same products almost. And you look at it, it doesn't really make sense. So how did you guys end up here? And it was all historically grown and no one really touched it. And so you look at it, where's the customer? It's way far away. So this is where we look at from overall when we go to a manufacturing company, if it makes sense from the big picture standpoint.
And Gizay, let me add one more point. So we do a lot of for automotive, also automotive supply chain. Those of you who understand that business, it is not a sexy business in terms of returns, but a rather better structurally organized business looking for scaling, right? But these manufacturing companies, which are out there and which are used to build platforms, basically, buy and build, they have surprisingly high returns. We are talking upwards 20-something% return on sales, right? They are just not able so far to, harmonize it, and that shows the upside potential, basically, right? So that's what we are after.
So on that point, and Gizay, I'll ask you. When you're talking about the plants, the mergers and acquisition community, when they come to a deal, first thing they often see is the model and the spreadsheet, and then they see the financials, and this is the starting point. But oftentimes, that might miss some of the operational issues at the plant level. Can you talk a little bit about, in your experience, what's missing sometimes, and what can be missed in the deal analysis, and why there's value in terms of your work looking and being boots on the ground in terms of, at any manufacturing plant?
Yeah, and we will talk about it later on also a little bit. It's really a full comprehensive analysis. It's important to get into the plants basically, but let's shift this a little bit for later on. That's our finishing slide. But let's go to the next one.
Sure.
Talk a little bit about let's talk a little bit about, so when private equity and M&A is talking to us, right? I mean, we had to kind of fine-tune a little bit our approach towards them also. These are the 6 factors we believe are very relevant, right? So first of all, growth, right? Nobody wants to inject or financial capital, basically invest into something which has not at least the promise of growth, right? So the potential needs to be there. And this is not just that you are in a growing market segment or industry, but also that the company itself has the force to gain additional market share, right? So that's number 1, very relevant. Number 2, of course, cash. We are talking, large amounts of money, basically, which are changing owners. So nobody has an interest to directly being confronted with additional subsidy payments. They want to be sure that financing is all clear. They want to be sure that they can rely on stable, cash management, liquidity management, solid handle on receivables and payables, and also renegotiated financing credit lines, right? So these are 2 of the relevant items.
Yes. And one of the other ones, the main drivers that we see, if you work with let's say, private equity and they have a platform company in manufacturing, one of them is efficiency. And the way how we look at efficiency is from 2 different angles. The one is the cost perspective. As efficient you get, you reduce your conversion costs, so you are more competitive, so you can scale up your production, your product, and get more into the market. The other aspect is, or the other angle is the capacity. So in some cases, we see companies, they are at the edge of their capacity or volume, what they say. So the demand is there, but I cannot deliver more. So then that's what we're also looking at. If you increase the efficiency, that's going to giving you more volume, more production volume with the same resources, within the same time period, same amount of labor. So you can produce more. And let's say also what Henning just mentioned from the cash standpoint, so we are able to maybe delay or even avoid some of the investments. So you use your same assets, but you get more product because you are producing more efficient and increasing the productivity.
So if we look at the remaining issues here, strategy basically, that's the roadmap, right? What do you want to do? You need to have an idea. You can't just basically talk somebody with financials into the next deal. They want to know what's the outlook. They want to know what you have planned, so to say, in steps. And when I look at the next item, which is business governance, prior to joining consulting, basically, I had the joy of running 25 years, basically, automotive plants for the most part, different types of plants, mostly in the trucking industry and engine building industry. And a structured way of running a business, call it business governance, right? From KPIs, from really how you run the daily operations, quickly identification of deviations to plan and mitigation. All this, very much Toyota style, this is something which we need to infuse in companies to get them back on track. And it's astonishing to see how unorganized many of these companies are. And then there's no wonder that, they're going to end up in non-positive territory. Now, ultimately, valuation, all what is done here, basically, the valuation is decided not at signing. The valuation, the true valuation is going to be, throughout the holding period and also towards the exit. Is that promise holding true, what has been discussed? Is this company really stabilizing? Is it generating healthy competitive returns, right? And can we actually, with this history of holding years running nicely, so to say, maintaining an argumentation towards the exit, right? If there's any kind of doubts on the way, believe us, these things will be found in the financial due diligence, right? So these are the main 6 items which we see.
Sure. And in terms of the parameters of value creation drivers, all of us want to land the next great deal, right?
Yeah.
What do you think makes a truly valuable deal these days, especially in the manufacturing space?
So that is a great question, and I already referenced a little bit before now. So this thing is, the truth is going to be told later on, right? And you might actually think about stock markets and financial transactions, buy low, sell high, or let's take advantage of the volatility in stock markets. These are all great opportunities right there. But when it comes to manufacturing, you need to know what you're doing. It's going to be on for the long run, basically. You need stability. Stability is the absolute key. In daily operations, you hope for stable demand. You hope for a trajectory which allows you to get better, continuously improve on your conversion efforts, on your conversion cost. And if then the product is maintained rightly in the market, you will appreciate good returns. So it's a long-run thing. If you invest in manufacturing, it might be very different than other industries. And we would highly recommend that you seek somebody on your side who is being able to give you a clear and honest view. Now, if it has a lot of upside potential, so there might be a company which is really having a lot of issues, the question is, how capable will be the forces at hand, so to say, after signing to get this corrected? If you have a setup of support, it can be an absolute golden deal. We are astonished to meet M&A and private equity companies sometimes who purposely say our approach is we buy companies on certain valuations and then we let them run. And when we ask, what do you mean let them run? And we basically let them run over a time and we will see how they perform. And we believe that this is somewhat irresponsible. If you invest that much money, you need to, on behalf of somebody else, by the way, you need to really ensure that this thing will work out.
Gizay, you and Henning provide expertise in operational excellence. Yeah. At what point does that come into need in the M&A process?
Yeah. Maybe I answer this question based on our experience or the real, let's say, engagements. So I would say along the entire process, starting due diligence all the way along the holding period, but also for sales or exit prep and exit. So recently, we had the opportunity to, let's say, assess 12 plans of a client, and he was interested to buy in them. And so when we talk about due diligence from our perspective, we look at more the technical side. So what it means is you have a business plan, you have, let's say, certain promises, they are on the paper, you have all the financial due diligence, but we go in and take a look at it. Hey, is it really realistic? Is it feasible from the technical standpoint? The operations that the company is currently running, can they really make it? So this is the perspective we look at. And then based on their current status, we create, let's say, scenarios. We said, okay, how could the future look like based on what we see? Also, what is benchmark? So what is doable? And based on the scenarios, we also give them some insights or inputs for valuation. So the multiple or the money is on the table based on the operational performance factors. Does it really make sense? So that's, let's say, for the first two steps, what we bring to the table or add value. On the other side, that's probably the most interesting part is for us, after, let's say, the deal is closed, the deal is done, the holding period, so the value creation. So everything what we put on the paper, the roadmap, the scenarios. So if we get the opportunity, then we really roll up our sleeves and start working and really create value with consolidation, bringing the plants together, fixing the footprint, etc. So that's where we have really the realization of the potential. And that also leads to the exit preparation and hopefully a successful exit.
Being mindful of time, there's 2 points I want to make sure we get to. The first is when businesses are bought, we often hear of changes to management. Can you share your perspective on this for the audience?
Yeah, that's true. It is a point which is relevant. I mean, when you come in, there's a reason why companies are not performing on a competitive level, and mostly that boils down to leadership, right? Well, sometimes companies don't get the investment, the needs, the cash anymore to really invest into new technologies. But for the most part, it is leadership. And that's why if we take those engagements on, there is a quick evaluation, what people are up to the challenge, so to say, what profile do you need, and sometimes there needs to be also a quick change, right, to make sure that we don't have that much time. We need to be quickly basically going into the next phase, so to say.
Sure.
Maybe one thing
please.
to add is I had to also learn it in a hard way. So I'm engineering background, and so you think manufacturing is all about the technical aspects, but at the end it's people business. So how do you get the people motivated in the plants, in operations to achieve your targets? How do they understand what needs to be done? Give you an example. Maybe it doesn't apply to every business. But we have, looking at the manufacturing, you have the assets, you run it 24 hours. So how do you bring, for example, a manufacturing plant to run in the same efficiency during the day, but also during the night? So this is a question that you don't really face for every business, but that's the interesting part and that we like and where we help our customers.
That's great. Just a few minutes left. Any one of the folks in the audience might represent a PE firm, might represent a company. When you're approached and asked to help with the struggling manufacturing business, how do you approach this challenge?
Okay, good, yeah. So definitely, I mean, that's a proven process for us. As I said, we do about 15 to 20 companies per year, different sizes. Typically, first thing is always coming in and doing an assessment, right? So boots on the ground, really familiarize yourself with the company, look at the value streams, talk to leadership, basically, observe the business governance, look at the KPIs, and then definitely meet with the CRO and the general manager, look at the history, what kind of trends do we see, so to say. For us, it is very important to see that we are looking at a system which is kind of like quickly identifying deviations, kind of like self-healing, we call it, right? And by the way, I wanted to bring this one point. We heard today a lot about AI, and we hear these days a lot about digitalization in the industry. we are strong believers still in the basics of Toyota and production system and call it lean or world-class manufacturing system. When it is manufacturing, it still boils down to how you run your business with the people. It's really not about how can this be somehow digitalized and resolve the issues. The issues are very much process and people driven. Now, once we are in, as you can see on the wall, we have a 4-pillar approach, which is, has many subsets basically. But we apply something for about 3 to 6 months, and then we have typically a first stabilization. Customers are happy, on-time delivery, schedule attainment, right? And typically we are looking at positive return on sales at that time. Now, in order to really hone that in, our advice is take an interims leader on basically, or maybe 2 in some areas where you have gaps, and use the time wisely and purposely before you hire anybody else again who has an impact on culture, on performance, etc. So let's make sure that the investment over 3 to 6 months is really performing, is honing in. And so far, we had lots of success, specifically in the US and Mexico here. And yeah, we are now at a point basically where we want to broaden this. We want to get more visibility. We are in a growing mode. And we would love to see that there's a chance to, help you guys out and maybe, help you to make some of these deals even better deals in the longer run.
We hope today's episode delivered actionable intelligence. We want to hear from the field. Share your questions or insights, leave a message on your favorite platform, or email us at editor@maadvisor.com. To secure your steady feed of premium M&A content, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and subscribe to our M&A Alerts email newsletter. Find the links in the description below or visit us directly at our website at www.maadvisor.com. I'm Roger Aguinaldo, founder and CEO of the M&A Advisor. Thank you for being part of the M&A Advisor community. Until next time, stay decisive, stay connected, and happy dealing.